My ears rang, and my imagination seethed as I led my camel slowly across the sand to that unvocal stone place, that place too old for Egypt and Meroe to remember, that place which I alone of living men had seen.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Sebastien. I play in the band Wyatt E, and that's it. I'm the guitar player and the bass player, and also play a little bit of synth in that band, and it's a doom ambient band from Belgium. We try to write the soundtrack of I would say, piece of history that happened like 2,500 years ago. It's basically, it's kind of hard to describe actually, but it's basically a soundscape of what could have been the soundtrack of a travel in the desert in between Jerusalem and Babylon in the 6th century BC. That's it.
So in recent weeks, I've interviewed a few bands who describe the music that they make as doom. Can you tell me, what does doom mean to you?
Well, I'm not really a metalhead. I've never been a metalhead, just before maybe my early days. So I cannot exactly tell you what it is to be what it is, doom or whatsoever. It's like, I would say people describe our music as doomy, but to me it's more ambient post-rock with heavy guitar sometimes, you know. So I cannot really tell. Maybe it comes from the fact that our music is heavy and balanced at the same time, you know. But I don't know exactly what doom is. When people are telling me that our music is doom, I don't really get it. But well, I'm just playing music, and it's fine if they want to put me in a frame or something, you know.
Well, I assume when people describe Wyatt E as doom, what they're saying, the tempo is probably what a lot of people are.
Sure. It's kind of slow, you know. It goes like, it's, well, I don't know if balanced is the right term for that, but like, the tempo, it's always like 70 BPM or something like that. So it has this thing behind the soundscape that's rolling, you know. It comes from the drum and the bass, and it's like, it's well written, I would say.
And as somebody who doesn't come from a metal background, how do you feel about being associated with these kind of slow doom heavy metal bands like Sleep or Ohm that you sometimes get compared to?
Yeah, actually the Ohm connection, I totally get it, you know. But the Sleep, you know, we've never considered ourselves as a stoner band, so maybe that's why I didn't make the connection in between our music and doom music. But sure, the dumb association is kind of obvious, you know. It's because, not because of the bass, I would say it's because of the Middle Eastern background, the Middle Eastern influence and stuff, you know. That's maybe why people are connecting us to Ohm, and then it's quite easy to connect us to Sleep, since Ohm and Sleep share like two-thirds of their band members, at least in the beginning of Ohm, of course. But actually, you know this band called Master Musicians of Bukake? They're from Seattle. You know the band?
I'm familiar with the name. I'm not sure I've actually heard their music.
Okay, you should definitely check it out. It's not quite a doom band either. I wouldn't say it's a doom band, but it's also an influence for us, you know. And it's probably this people like to call it folk or world music, but I don't like this word actually. But it's this Middle Eastern influence, I would say. But of course, when they compare me to Sleep and I'm always happy with that, because it's both bands that I do like, even if I'm not a metalhead. You know, I don't have a metalhead background, but of course, being in the Wyatt E helped me discover a lot of bands, and that's it. Of course, I do love Sleep, I do love I do love High on Fire, and all those bands that are doom related somehow.
Outside of genre classifications like doom or post-rock or ambient, if you had to describe the music of Wyatt E in terms of the feeling or the emotions that you generate, how would you describe your music?
Well, our music is some sort of introspection, I would say. You know, I'm from a Jewish background. I have Syrian Jewish ancestors. And to me, it's a way to reconnect with my past, or at least the past of my family. And that's how I would describe the music. It's a music trying to reconnect myself with the past of my ancestors. That's it. But it's not really musically explained, but it is what it is, you know. Otherwise, we started, Stephane and I, this band a couple of years ago with the idea of writing the soundtrack of a movie that didn't exist back then, you know, the movie of ourselves looking for something in the past. That's more like it. It's we consider music more of a soundtrack, the soundtrack of a movie, actually. The movie of our life, movie of our past life, actually.
With that in mind, with, you know, the idea of a soundtrack to a movie or a soundtrack to an epic story, would you describe your music as cinematic?
Yeah, totally. But of a movie that's being written at the moment, you know, that's being written by the music, you see? Like if the music would come first, and the movie is actually what's you're building, the not the memory, but your imagination that's building the movie on the music you're actually doing at the moment.
Absolutely. And in terms of some of the Middle Eastern melodies and religious themes in the music, would you describe Wyatt E as meditative in terms of the feeling either you get while playing it or that people get while listening to it?
Here I'm speaking for myself. I wouldn't say so if I just consider Sebastien, you know, because I'm not really a religious person, but you can also meditate and not being religious. So it talks to me differently, actually. It's too personal for me to be meditative. You know, if it was some sort of meditation or something, it wouldn't be the music I would consider. To me, it's more like reconnecting with my past. But you're kind of right as well, because I'm pretty sure it's being used by some people for meditation as well. I got messages from a bit everywhere in the world. You know, some people use my music in yoga lessons or dance lessons. You know, I mean, it's always, it's stupid to tell you that, but like people put in it what they want to see in it. You know, so yeah, the meditation is probably something that might occur when you're listening to Wyatt E sometimes, if you're that kind of person.
In that light, in terms of people using the music to their own ends, I know you just said that you don't consider your music related to stoner metal or stoner rock or anything like that, but how do you feel about people getting high or maybe taking psychedelics while they listen to your music?
If they want to have some fun, that's fine. You know, I mean, life's too short. So yeah, of course, if they do want to get high, listening to Wyatt E is probably one of your best music companion to do so. I'm always happy when people are telling me that, you know, they just disconnect from reality listening to our music. And if the music is one of the media, like weed would be a media as well to disconnect, then I'm happy. And you can use both if it doesn't go along, it doesn't go against the law of your country. Of course, I don't want people go to jail because of me, you know. But if they like it, it's fine.
Enjoy Wyatt responsibly.
Yeah, totally. Or don't tell your parents, or don't get caught.
So you touched on the origins of the band briefly. Can you tell me a little bit more about what brought you guys together and how you arrived at this concept that you have? Yeah.
So Stephane and I started this band like maybe 15 or 20 years ago. It wasn't Wyatt E. We were a fan of Shellac and Big Black, you know, this band from Steve Albini. And we did dig like drum machines and electric guitars, and we started jamming for hours and hours, like for maybe 10 years before we started what would become Wyatt E. Then we met our first drummer, and we already had that idea that we wanted to make like cinematographic music or something, you know. And with this drummer, you know, well, actually before that we were more into post-apocalyptical Western. And when we met that guy, the first drummer, we were like, okay, it doesn't sound Western at all. It sounds like Eastern, you know? And that was the moment I was trying reconnecting with my past and my Middle Eastern Jewish ancestry. And that's how we started. Like, it's always about desert. It's really doomy, you know, desert, stoner rock, you know, but it is what it is. So maybe I was a stoner guy, not knowing it before. But yeah, I don't know what I was about to say. Oh yeah, so we met that drummer guy, and it doesn't sound Western music anymore, but it sounds Eastern. And I got this thing with me reconnecting with my past. I'm like, okay, I'm going to merge the whole thing, you know, my personal history and the band that's becoming a band. And that's how we started, actually. So we started jamming for a month, and we had those first two songs of 15 minutes each, I think, and we put them together on an album. But back then we didn't really want to play live shows or anything. So we just...
Do you mind if I ask why?
Well, we were all involved in different bands, and we had this thing that was kind of personal that we didn't want to share with anybody. So we just put that online, share it to different people we knew, but who didn't know we were in the band. Like, you know, local webzine and stuff like that. And they kind of liked it, I think. And somehow, you know, we didn't want to say our name or anything. And there was this personal story. So we just put Jerusalem on our Bandcamp back then, just to get people confused, you know, just to... not to be so it wasn't related to us.
You mean in terms of your location, right?
Yeah. Sorry. It's all messy, but it's messy in my head as well. Yeah. The location of the band was Jerusalem, and somehow, like two magazines from Israel that year, 2015, found us, and I don't know how actually, and they put the album in their 2015 top 10 metal album produced in Israel. And so like
and at this point you're still quite anonymous, right? Like in terms of nobody knew who was behind the project.
Maybe we played 2 or 3 shows back then. So our friends started to know who was Wyatt E, but like it was very local, you know. We did play bars and little parties that would happen in the city or stuff like that. So it wasn't anonymous because people knew who we were, but it was anonymous because, like, except for like our close relative and friends, nobody would care about that band, you know. It was just a stupid tiny band. So yeah, there's this guy sending me an email early 2016, I guess. And he's like, okay, I'm from Jerusalem, and, you know, we know the scene quite well here, and we think you're not from Jerusalem or even from Israel, but we do like your music. So I had to tell them like the whole background story of me and you know, like I said already 3 times. And they were like, yeah, but we like your music, so we would totally produce the next album. So we found a label like that by accident, just because we were putting Jerusalem as a hometown. And we went there, we toured there with the second album, and we became a band because we started touring, we started playing shows, you know, underground shows, of course, you know, not stadium, I wouldn't be here. But so yeah, that's a funny story, actually. So somehow by having this band, trying to reconnect with my past. I did reconnect with my past, meeting guys over there in Middle East that dig our music, you know. So it was also some sort of approval, because I never wanted to make something like that sounded like a cultural appropriation or something, you know. It was important to me to make something personal that was speaking to me, but like we got the recognition of it, you know, because yeah, it's been approved somehow. And my seek of my past led me to my past for real. So it was funny. It's a funny story, actually.
Can you help me with the timeline a little bit from when you and Stephane first started jamming together to 2015 when you released that first EP? How long did it take you to actually, or how long before that first EP did you arrive at this sound, this Middle Eastern cinematic sound?
Okay, the cinematic sound was like 2 years, something like that. But we started jamming together in 2007 or 8. So we did jam for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years before it would become what it is, you know? And it's the meeting with that drummer in 2013 and the jam that followed and the songs that followed the meeting with him who led us to the band as you know today, actually. So 2007, I met Stephane and I played with him for like 6 years. Nothing happened. 2013, we met this guy. His name is Romain. Yeah, then it became a band sounding like Wyatt E, like today's Wyatt E. And the first record arrives in 2015 and the second one in 2017. And the third one this year. So,
and we'll talk about the third one very soon. Tell me a little bit about the instrumentation that you guys use. Well, first of all, am I correct in saying that Wyatt E is a trio?
Yeah, it is. It is a trio, but with different drummers, actually.
Okay, different drummers meaning
that
different people taking on the role?
Yeah, and actually different people collaborating at the same time with the band. But like there are like 2 drummers that we work with, Gilles and Jonas. But on stage we're only with 1 drummer. For now.
So, for now.
Yeah.
But on the recordings, you have 2 drummers simultaneously?
Actually, yes. I mean, playing simultaneously, sure, but like not recording simultaneously. That's it.
I see. Okay. And you also use some instrumentation that's not typical of rock music, right?
You're right. Yeah, we use a saz, which is some sort of Middle Eastern lute or baglama, you call it also in Turkey. That's an instrument that's all around the Middle East, and depending on the size or the region, it has different name. And I did fall in love with that instrument since I met a guy here at the Fine Art Academy of my town. You know, I was studying videography and installation art, and we had like lessons with different people in the school. And I met this Kurdish guy, and he's playing saz. And it's 10 years ago maybe, and I do love this instrument. I did back then. I did love this instrument, and I asked him to teach me a little bit. You know, it's in his family. It's pretty common that people are learning instruments since they're like kids. You know, the parents teach the kids who's going to teach their kids and whatsoever. You know, and I asked him to teach me a little bit of it, and it's not that I really had lessons with him, but he did teach me like a few stuff, and I started to make my way into the practicing of saz myself. And since it's something that I really love, I was like, yeah, maybe maybe we should use that also in Wyatt E, because I think it would fit the music perfectly. So yeah, we have this. We have a lot of synth as well. You don't find a lot of doom bands that are playing synth. And in Wyatt E, it's actually the main instruments that we're using synth. So yeah, voila, that's it.
I'd like to talk about your songwriting just a little bit. Can you tell me your process? How do songs typically come together for Wyatt E?
Yeah, same again, a jam. So we're seeing each other for like 5-6 hours, and we start jamming. And when we find a good theme or a good gimmick or something, we just tape it, we record it, and we put it in the PA. Like we made it a 10 minutes track or something. We put it on the PA, and then we play over it again, with different instruments or different theme that we would find. And we repeat this process over and over again. And at the end, you have like this song that's like, 10, 20, 30 minutes long. And then we just like, there's like, 50 tracks of what we did. And then we start to, we're like, okay, on the first minute, we're going to pick this drum with this bass, with this synth, with this guitar. And then on the next move, we're picking different ones. And it's like that. It's like we're adding layers of music over and over again. And at the end, it's just a matter of selection. You're selecting the part that you like the most in the building of your song. That's how we do. But at the end, of the process, sometimes we have like 100 tracks recorded for the same song. So it's a really, really long job to do. Sometimes it's taking us more than a year to finish one song. It's a 20-minute song, of course, but it's a long process.
And how do you guys decide the direction with all these different versions of the songs? How do you decide which is the version that's going to be released?
The first version is actually the one that we're going to release, because we always keep, like, from what you hear on the record, some tracks has been written and recorded 4 or 5 years ago. So the selection arrives at the very beginning of the process. When we find the backtrack, the synth that's more in the back than the other, that's the very first track we use, and that's going to lead the whole creating process. So we have this synth that's going to drive the whole song from the beginning to the end, and it's that layer, that synth that's recorded since the very beginning. That's it. I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood what you said. So if I understand your process correctly, you start with a synth line, and once you arrive at a synth line that you like, you play that over the PA and then jam over the synth line?
Yes.
And then you record that jam.
Yeah. And then we jam over it again and again, but over the same instrument we did record the time before. So there's this synth that's first, then we jam with a bass and another synth, and we keep them. And then we put the whole thing in the PA again, and then we jam with the guitar and the saz, and then maybe again with the synth and some percussion or something. And at the end, you have this like big block of 100 tracks playing simultaneously. And it's just a matter of selecting what you're going to keep on each part and make a song of it. Sorry.
Okay. Now, are there multiple versions of these jams?
Yeah. We have like tons of version, actually. Yeah, of course. But this is never going to be released, because if it's not on the record, it's because we're not satisfied with it.
So how do you decide which is the version that you're going to release? What makes you happy with the song?
Building a tension, building a climax, reaching a mix that's well balanced in terms of bass and treble, stuff that are happening, I'm ready to wait 10 minutes to build a climax, but it has to arrive. And if it doesn't arrive, then the song is a failure. So what makes us happy is this sonic explosion that somehow arrives in the song. That's it.
And as you're jamming, can you predict when the peak is going to come? No. Especially given the amount of time that you and Stephane have been working together?
Yeah, sometimes it's obvious, because we're listening to the track right after we recorded it, and we're like, okay, that's the moment, it happens now. So, but it's a bit clumsy sometimes, so it's always a matter of playing it like you played it the time that satisfied you, It's a matter of doing over and over again the same tension to make it sound like if it was natural, like the first time as well. So that's it.
So this process that you described to me is quite interesting, because I've spoken with a few bands who use improvisation as a big part of their songwriting and their live performances, and the improvisation also occurs on the album. And what their take on it is that it's impossible to recreate, not impossible, but it's hard to recreate certain things through that improvisation because it happens spontaneously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. But sometimes it's the same for us as well. We keep that spontaneous moment, but we place it in where it fits the best the song, actually. And the whole thing is like to build up the tension to that marvelous thing you just done that you're going to keep, but you still need to add guitars before and after to make it interesting, The momentum, the happening is there, but maybe it was just a matter of chance. So there's only 1 minute that's good, So you keep that minute of music, and the thing is like, okay, now let's think of how we're going to build up something that will make you think that the whole building up was natural, but only the climax was, maybe, That's it. So somehow it's improvisation, but also organized improvisation. It sounds like it is, but it isn't. It's a process that's taking, years sometimes, Actually, it is what it is for Wyatt E. This is how we're doing it, It sounds like it's improvisation, but it's not really improvisation. It's also, it's like a movie, actually. Sometimes it is messy, but everything is calculated, Everything is staged. And that's what I like about music as well, It's a form of art like anything else. It's the same for like abstraction in painting, It looks like it is unorganized, but it's actually an organized chaos. When you look at Pollock's painting and stuff like that, it looks like it's just colors that are painted like that with no order on the canvas, but it is. And that's what it makes it so beautiful. It's because it's organized, but it looks like it isn't.
So let's talk about the new album.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a good explanation. That's a good explanation. I mean, I don't really have anything to add to that. It's a fascinating process to me because I don't think I've ever heard a musician describe quite the process that you described to me of jamming, but then jamming on top of the jam, and then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm digesting. I'm not judging. I'm digesting.
No worries. It's not a matter of judging. It's just a matter of how to explain. Even English is not my mother language. I do speak French normally, so
okay.
I have to think a little bit. I do think in English, of course, but sometimes I just to pick the right word because I want to be clearly understood.
Sure. So let's talk about the new album. Would you mind saying the title for me?
Al bēlūti dārû.
Al bēlūti dārû.
Yeah.
Which will be released. How was that? Was that close?
Yeah, it will be released on the 18th of March.
No, my pronunciation. Was my pronunciation close?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, your pronunciation is close. Yeah. Sorry.
I'll try to practice it before the end. I have to say it one more
Al
time
bēlūti
at the
dārû.
end of the Al bēlūti dārû,
Dārû.
which will be released dārû. Sorry, Al bēlūti dārû,
That's right.
which will be released March 18th through Stolen Body Records.
Yeah.
So we spoke extensively about your writing process. Let's talk about the two songs that are on this release. Tell me about side A and tell me about side B.
You don't want to say the title, right?
Well, I'll try. This is a very international podcast, and so I'm frequently required to speak in Spanish and Swedish and a lot of different languages. Welsh was on this podcast quite recently, and so I'm not afraid to completely mispronounce names.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think everyone understands that I'm just trying to do my best.
Okay.
So let's try side A.
Side A.
Mushusu?
Mushushu.
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 Oh, okay. I need to do the like Hanukkah.
Yeah, it's.
Let me try.
Actually, it's
Mushushu.
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 Yeah, somehow.
I'm sorry.
No worries. It's not even my language, actually. It's
So what languages are these titles in?
It's Akkadian language. So it's the language that used to be spoken in Babylon 600 years BC.
And what relation does Akkadian have to modern Arabic and modern Hebrew?
They're somehow related through the Semitic language, but I'm not even sure about it, actually. I know that it's not related to Arabic, but it's related to Farsi. I think it's the...
Okay. Yeah. What they speak in Iran, basically?
Yeah, that's it. And, I just do love history because, so I'm going to talk about me again, but like you'll see why. So the whole thing of me reconnecting with the past, there's this episode of history where a king called Nebuchadnezzar II, the second, then comes to Jerusalem and did capture the Jewish elite of the city and brings them back, like forced them in exile to Babylon. And I was like, okay, so I do love history and I do love this part of history. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should like somehow link my Jewish ancestry to that and make something out of it. And so I was starting thinking of, okay, how am I going to do that? Like maybe I should be the guy who's the Jewish capture in Jerusalem 25 centuries ago, who arrives in Babylon and see the city and see their gods and discover Babylonian culture from the eyes of a guy who's coming from Jerusalem back then. So that's why we choose Akkadian language for the name of our songs and album and stuff like that. So I don't know where I'm going, but
let's talk about the first song. Let's talk about side A.
Mushushu. Okay, so Mushushu is the creature that accompany Marduk. Marduk is the god of war in Babylon, and he has a creature always going along with them. And Mushushu is the name of Mushushu is the name of this creature. I was like, okay, let's make a song about it. We can totally write a song about the creature, the pet of Marduk. So yeah, that's it. That's more a song that's mythological related. I don't know if I'm right saying that. Correct me.
And yeah,
okay.
Mythological. See, even I couldn't say it. And this is the more atmospheric of the two tracks, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about the guest that you have playing saxophone?
Sure, he's a drummer. He used to be a saxophone player, but he's a friend of mine. I'm playing with him in a different band, and he's the drummer of that band. And I know that he's really good at playing the saxophone, but he didn't play saxophone for like 10 years, and I kind of forced him in because I needed I needed this kind of instrument, and he was the person I knew who was playing it the best. So I invited him. Yannick, it's his name. He's the drummer of a punk band, which is really, really cool. And it's called Cocaine Piss. So it's always about drugs, And yeah, I just invited him because he's very talented. That's it. I invited him because I wanted him to serve my purpose. That's it.
I'm glad that you explained who Marduk was, because on this type of podcast, when people bring up Marduk and Tiamat, it's in a completely different context. So let's talk about side B. I'm going to try and say the name. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Saru Rabu. How is that?
Charu.
Charu.
Charu Rabu.
Charu Rabu.
That's it.
Cool. Tell me about the song. Tell me about side B.
It's a military march. Charu Rabu means the great king. The great king is Nebuchadnezzar II. And I wanted to write a military march, like a ceremonial song that could have been a song of a military march, while he's coming back from war or something. So that's it.
Now, to be clear, most of your music is instrumental, right?
Yeah.
And so when you describe these themes and these narrative elements,
mm-hmm.
these largely guide the music in terms of, composition, but not necessarily narrative?
But, I told you before about the movie that you're playing in your head, It's always a matter of having images. Yeah, it's to me, it's just like a movie that is not filmed, and that I want the music to be the first element. So when we have this idea of writing a military march in honor of Nebuchadnezzar II, I'm like, okay, how am I going to make people think that it is a military march? And the whole creating process comes with that as well. It's not only having a music, like finishing a jam, and stick a random name on it, it's not like that. The album has a theme, and I stick to the ID, and the ID comes first, and then the music is there to encounter what I have in mind, the movie that's played in my head, that's being played in my head.
Tell me a little bit about the recording of this album.
It was really long.
Where did you end up recording this?
In our rehearsal space, like we always do, because the process is too long, you know. Like I said, in between the first synth track and the last guitar or whatever instrument we recording the last, sometimes there's like 3 years, you know. So we cannot afford to be in a studio for that such a long time, because it's also a matter of recording, like, I don't know, 4 hours of music and then going home and listening to it for a week and then come back to the rehearsal space with fresh ideas, you know. That's the process. I mean, it's not some sort of attitude we're having. It's how it works the best with the two of us, Stephane and I. And so we stick to that process because we know that we're never going to be more efficient than that. So we have our own method, and that's the one that's working right now. So we keep it like it is. So we also needed to learn how to record ourselves. The mixing is given to someone else's hands, but the recording, we do that ourselves. Actually, Stephane does it because I'm the worst guy ever to touch a microphone or recording something or a computer recording program or whatsoever. I'm really, I suck at it. So Stephane is the guy. And I mean, we have this balance in between the two of us. Musically, we're like even, we're equal. We're doing this, you know, whatever happens, he can play the bass on one song, then the guitar on the others. There's no assigned instrument, but he's the technical guy and I'm the theme guy. So I come with the concept, he comes with the recording, we're doing the music together.
So are you recording with like a DAW, like a Ableton or Pro Tools or something like that?
Yeah, sure. I don't know exactly what he used. It may be
okay.
But
basically, usual recording software, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're recording live into the recording software, and then recording live into the recording software again.
No. We're recording the first jams. Sometimes we just record it on a phone or something, you know, because we're like, we don't want to set up the whole portable studio that we have every day, you know, during a week. So we just record it with like cassette or it's very old fashioned, but it is what it is. Or phones and stuff. And then like a few weeks after, when we have like one good or two good ideas, we're like setting up the whole recording portable studio that we have. But also we don't really play live. That's also a thing. From the very first recording until the very last recording, we might not have played the whole album together in the same room with a drummer. It's also a process after that, after the album is being mixed and everything, we meet ourselves again and we stay 10 to 20 days in the studio and we start learning the songs that we have actually recorded the 2 last years. So I don't know if it answers your question, but that's going to be my answer.
Okay, so it sounds like the recording is divided into 2 parts. Like the first part would be more of the writing process.
Yes.
And then when it's actually time to record the release, you do like a more traditional recording. Yeah,
that's it. But like the creating process also happens during that recording sessions, you know. It's just that like the main ideas are there and then we're going to record them, you know, and then we add tons of stuff on it. But like the skeleton of the song, is it correct to say that? The skeleton of the song is there. And then we can like be creative over it again, you know. It's not like we would be creative like the first 2 weeks, then we're going to record it. No. we first jam for like, I don't know, 6-7 weeks, and then we have something, and from there we start building and recording stuff over again.
I gotcha. So with this in mind, does the final recording ever surprise you?
Of course. Yeah. No shit. So
every single time?
Not every single time, but like for the last album, we were surprised. But also it's because we're not doing the mix ourselves, you know? So once we recorded everything, we let that in the hand of somebody else who's going to make choices in between, like what he puts, like he just like get rid of, or what's going to lead the song, you know? We're telling the mixing guy, okay, for that part we want to keep the synth really, really hearable, or really strong, or for that part, please keep the bass because it's what's driving the song, you know. But the guy is also choosing and getting rid of some of the stuff we made. So at the end, of course, it's not exactly what we had in mind in terms of mix, but the whole composition is there, you know. And since we recorded everything, we like everything. It's just that the mixing guys choose different stuff than we would have done if we would have done it ourselves. But the thing is that after it's being recorded, it's not our work anymore. It's the work of somebody else as well. And here it's Billy Anderson. You probably know the guy.
Yeah, so at the beginning of our conversation, we talked about Sleep and Ohm, and of course, Billy Anderson is famous for his work with those bands, especially Sleep's, funnily enough, Jerusalem.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me, why Billy? Why was he the right guy for this?
Actually, I love his work with Kanate.
Okay, yeah.
That's why we got in touch with him. Did he also work with Asva, right? You know?
I'm not sure. He's got quite a few credits.
Yeah, okay. Because I do love that band. I saw them like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I really loved them. And when I saw that he was the guy behind that, I was like, okay, I got to work with him. And he also worked with a band from Belgium called Amenra. And
yeah, of course, yeah.
And I know a bit the singer, Colin. And yeah, when I knew that he collaborated with them, I was like, yeah, let's give it a try. It's not like it's unreachable for people outside the US. So I just sent him an email and that's it. We got to work together. I really wanted to have him mixing the stuff in a way that we wouldn't have think of. And yeah, that's actually, yeah, people are always think of and Sleep or even the Melvins, you know, but it's the Kanate, Asva, Amenra that brought me there.
Now, was there something specific to those bands that you wanted Billy's help in bringing to Wyatt?
No, not really, actually. No, because our music is totally different. It's just a matter of treatment and, you know, picking the right element to put before the others. And I really like, especially on Asva, actually.
So it sounds like it's just Billy's expertise that you're looking for, not necessarily any specific sound.
No, yeah, more an expertise. You're right, and also somebody who's going to make the right choice. You know, that's it. In terms of instruments, that's it.
And do you want to talk about who mastered this?
Justin Weiss. Yeah, how did I get to know him? I think it's because of the master musicians of Bukake Connection as well. And also, when you work with someone like Billy Anderson, you got to look up for somebody who already worked with him on records. And there's a connection there. I don't remember exactly what album it was, but when I saw it, I was like, okay, we definitely need to work with the guy who mastered this album of Billy Anderson. So that's how we got to know him. But Stephane took over that part, so I'm not really aware of how we did it. Yeah.
But in terms of the sound, because you've heard the finished product, what would you say that Justin brought to the sound?
You know, since in Wyatt E we're keeping our work divided, and Stephane is the technical guy, I'm going to be the guy who's going to tell you it's louder. So the mastering is louder than the mix. No, seriously, that goes far beyond my technical knowledge, you know. I'm the lazy artist of the band. So I don't know how to answer that question. I'm more like, yeah, it sounds louder. I do love the what he did with that album. That's it, you know. I'm not like, oh yeah, you know, and metal frequencies. I feel like that it's a bit better. No, I have no fucking clue, man. I'm sorry. And Stephane is really bad in English, so I have to take over.
No. I think everyone will agree that this was a good chat. So as we're finishing up, tell me what's in store for Wyatt in the future. I understand you have a tour starting very soon.
Yes. So we have this release party on the 19th of March. Then, we have a tour along with the Italian band Messa, also doom band, no surprise. And in the middle of that tour, we're playing 2 shows in Roadburn Festival in Holland. One under our own name, Wyatt E. We're playing the album bēlūti dārû. And the other one we're playing under the name of Atonia. And it's a collaboration in between Wyatt E, English band 5 The Elephant, and Israeli singer from Jerusalem, MC Slice. And we're creating 40 minutes of exclusive music only for that show, actually. So Atonia is some sort of a spin-off band of Wyatt E, 5 The Elephant, and MC Slice. And then we have some tours in the summer and stuff like that.
And will the Atonia show be recorded?
Yeah, it will be recorded and video recorded as well. But we're in the middle of the process and we're far behind our schedule. So we're still creating music for that. But I think it's going to be a cool collaboration. It's not really doomy, it's more droney and Tomer, she has an amazing voice, and sometimes it's like folk Israel song, and then suddenly become black metal, you know. It's weird. I don't know what to expect, actually. I think it's going to be good, but I'll be happy once the show is done and we have the recording. So I think it's going to be a cool project.
Sorry, did you say that the Atonia show will be taking place at Roadburn?
Roadburn, yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you know what date that might be?
Yeah, let me think. So 21st of April, we're playing the Wyatt E show, and the 22nd, we're playing Atonia.
So bēlūti dārû will be out on March 18th through Stolen Body Records.
Yes.
Sebastien, what is the best way to get this album? How can people order it?
From now on, it's better to go on Stolen Body web store because it's completely sold out on our side. So better go on stolenbodyrecords.co.uk, something like that. And you can also visit our merch, Wyatt Doom on Bandcamp. So Wyatt Doom is our tag everywhere, you know, on Facebook, facebook.com/Wyatt Doom. Instagram, it's Wyatt Doom. Bandcamp is also Wyatt Doom. So we got to stick to the label we've been given a couple of years ago.
So when you say sold out, do you want to say what the physical releases were?
Yeah, so there has been 700 copies, and we were given 100 copies for ourselves, and those band copies are sold out. So I don't have any, even for my mom. You cannot be promoted.
This was both CD and vinyl, right?
Yeah, but you can grab some CDs as well on Stolen Body web store. You know, there are still a few LPs on their web store, CDs, of course, but on Wyatt E side, it's sold out. So better come and come to the shows. We might have some copies, but it's not online anymore on our Bandcamp. So Stolen Body Records.co.uk.
Now, there was some kind of limited edition vinyl.
Yeah,
right?
those that are sold out.
Oh, those are the ones that are sold out. But the regular black is still available?
Yeah, the black is still available.
Okay. And as far as your Bandcamp page, people can still order the digital version through there, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you want to say?
Think on. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time. I did appreciate it.
Merci beaucoup.
You're good. So you did learn a little bit of French, maybe?
A little bit.
Okay, cool.